Dattatreya has an ability of transforming even a stone into a living being, because he believes in oneness of this creation. He is the greatest teacher of non-duality, so for him everything is one. The basic and the foremost instruction of Dattatreya for all of us is that we all are one, our identity is one. God is not somewhere far away, He is here only inside our heart. So we have to search for Him here in this lifetime. And the nature, the world, the people around us, all of them are teachers and all of them are incarnations of Dattatreya. So the teachings of Dattatreya is basically the teaching of our lives and how we live. So if we understand how to live in this life, how to behave with other people, I think we'll learn what Dattatreya is and what he taught.
Good morning to everyone. So you mentioned the story, like you visited Trimbakeshwar in Maharashtra, yes. And that sort of got you on this journey, right? So could you explain the journey to us all? In detail, yeah.
So namaste to all of you. So as I have also mentioned in the book, even in the starting of the book, that how I started writing this was that I went on a pilgrimage in Trimbakeshwar, which is in Nasik, Maharashtra. So at that time I was not even aware about who Dattatreya is basically. So for me he was just a deity, a normal deity, and that was his introduction to me. So I never thought that he's worshipped in such a manner in Maharashtra and other southern states, that he's one of the prominent deities in that region. So somehow I met one of the acharyas who comes from the tradition of Dattatreya, and he was the one who explained a lot of things about him to me, that how he is not a single deity or not an incarnation just of Vishnu, but he's also a combined incarnation of Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. So that somehow was one of the reasons that I started reading about him. So at that time it was the temple of Trimbakeshwar, which is again a manifestation of Dattatreya, because it's an incarnation of Shiva, where he is as Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. And also Sahyadri, the ranges there are one of the most loveliest ranges, which is dear to Lord Dattatreya. So that's how I started reading about his satcharits and biographies in his different incarnations. And that was the main reason, I would say, to write this book.
That's wonderful, actually. You must have also visited Girnar Parvat, right?
I know I haven't visited there yet, but I know about Girnar.
Yeah. Okay. In the first chapter on Advaita, you mentioned that Advaita expounds both Sakaar and Nirakaar.
Yes.
Could you expound on that, please?
Okay. So basically, whenever we view Vedas from an alien perspective, the people who don't know about the philosophical schools of Bharatiya Darshanas, for them, Vedas prominently describe about the Nirakaar Swarup or the formless identity. Although it's not absolute reality, because Veda itself mentions a lot of Saguna forms, which are forms like Lakshmi, Narayana and Durga, etc. So according to the philosophy of Advaita, which is the non-dualistic school, it believes in the oneness of soul and super soul, of God and Jiva, we can say. So in that way, it is also said that the same formless Brahman, whom we say the Nirakaar Brahman, he manifests himself in a form such as Krishna, Rama, Durga, Kali, or all these forms. So basically, we are not saying that the Brahman or God is not formless. Absolutely, he is formless according to the philosophy of Advaita. But when it comes to the practical reality of this world, then as a dream, we always imagine them as, having arms and, all types of faces and beautiful manifestations. So in Advaita, it's a common theory that the same formless Brahman, whom we called Pranav, or we also refer them as Om. So that same Brahman incarnates as a manifest deity. Dattatreya is also one of them. Krishna, Rama, and all these deities are basically the expansions of that same formless Brahman, who is mentioned in the Vedas and the Upanishads. And for this world, as we are living here practically in day-to-day life, it's very much needed to worship those types of forms and deities, so that we can connect ourselves with their nature and we can attain their blessings.
Right. Even in Smartha, we worship, we do Panchayatan Puja.
Yes, exactly.
So basically, Panchadevatas.
Yeah, so the smart understanding of this thing is that basically the worship of Dattatreya is a smart worship. It's not found in the Vaishnava school. So the Smartas are believers of the non-dualistic school, which is Advaita.
Exactly. Yeah. So you've mentioned various incarnations in Kali Yuga of Dattatreya. So how about we go one by one? We speak about each of the incarnations.
Yes.
So let's start with Sripada Vallabha.
Yes. So Dattatreya is the Mool Swarup, which we know as the son of sage Atri and Anasuya. And after that, in Kali Yuga, the first incarnation of Dattatreya is mentioned as Sripada Srivallabha, who took incarnation in Andhra Pradesh, Pitikapuram. And in that incarnation, he was basically a small, I would say, a small kid, and he started, giving instructions to all the seekers, and a lot of miracles and wonders happened in his times. So Sripada Sri Vallabha somehow guided the people of Kali Yuga to progress in their self-realization and bhakti. So basically in the earlier incarnation of Dattatreya, it was solely on meditation, Advaita, and the formlessness of Brahman. That was the main teaching of Dattatreya in previous incarnation, is Mool Dattatreya. But when he incarnates himself as Sripada Sri Vallabh, he is also explaining about bhakti, the role of Namasmaran, that we take names of Lord Vishnu or Shiva. And also he's gracing his devotees with various miracles. So in Kali Yuga, because of the nature of people, that we are always interested in miracles and all those things, so even God is doing all those pastimes. So Sripada Sri Vallabha is basically a small child who is of 10 to 16 years of age, and he is manifesting himself in front of all of his devotees.
Okay, that's wonderful. What about Narsimha?
Yes. So Narsimha Saraswati is again one of the most famous of incarnations, and he is a renunciate. So in this one, he's the second incarnation of Dattatreya in Kali Yuga, and in this incarnation, he's a sannyasi or a renunciate, and this is one of the most, I would say, the scholarly incarnation in Kali Yuga, where he's explaining Vedanta, the Guru Gita, and all these types of texts. And he's also, acting as a head of a monastery, which is in Karnataka. So basically, Narsimha Saraswati is a form of Dattatreya, where he is a renunciate, a sannyasi, who is teaching his disciples about what Advaita is and how to live in this life, what teachings to be followed, and these things. So basically, Dattatreya incarnated as a guru, in a form as a guru. So that is Narsimha Saraswati.
Narsimha, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and now next is Swami Samartha.
Swami Samartha. Yes, it's Swami Samartha and then Shirdi Sai Baba. So Swami Samartha is, I would say, one of the most famous in Maharashtra. And I mean, when I went to Nasik, I saw almost his photo in every household.
Have you been to Solapur, Akkalkot?
No, I haven't been there. That's the interesting part. That whatever I've learned is only in Nasik, and that's in Trimbakeshwar. So, but I've read his Satcharitra. So, Swami Samartha is again an Avadhut, as we say. So, Avadhut is a person who looks like a madman. You cannot judge him. So, often when it comes to Sai Baba too, people often judge him that, he was a Muslim or he was, not in accordance with the teaching of Hinduism. But this is not so. Because when you read his Satcharitra, you come to know that he was not actually a Muslim, he was not even a Hindu, he was not even a Christian. He was just an Avadhut. That is, he was just like a madman. But he was not actually a madman, because the one who is self-realized, he looks like that he's a madman, but he is not, because he is so much different from the normal people that he often resembles that, he is somewhere having some problem with him, but it's not like that. So when it comes to Swami Samartha, he's an Avadhut. And Avadhut is basically a person who has transcended all the materialistic stages, all the gunas, all the forms and names. So Swami Samartha again is incarnated as a guru, because Dattatreya is basically a master. So you again incarnated as a guru and, blessed all of his devotees with different teachings. And his teachings were not in the form of instructions or upadeshas. Like we are speaking, it was not. He barely gave any instructions or teachings to his disciples. Prominently, what he did was practical. You know, somehow he used to express his teachings as his miracles or his actions. So that was his speciality. And in this way, he became very much famous. And we still have his photos and everything. So he was a real person, and people know about him still. And his samadhi is still there in Maharashtra.
Yes, indeed. You mentioned Dattatreya's seven gurus. So that
Yes.
story is very popular in Maharashtra. So could you
Yes.
elaborate on that?
Yeah. So basically, Dattatreya had 24 gurus in total. And often we think that we need a guru in a physical form. We think that we need a guru as a, as a Baba, and he'll give us some mantra, and without that we can never, have self-realization. But what Dattatreya teaches here is that a bee, a dog, a woman, a man, a child, sky, water, everything, whatever we see around us is our guru. So whenever we look at a tree, we can, learn from that tree that how humble a tree is, how the tree has a nature of giving. So in this way, Dattatreya explains that how a bee is his guru, how a dog is his guru, how a tree is his guru, how a snake is his guru. So in that way, he's trying to explain to all of us that a guru is not a physical person. He is not just a body to whom we go and we take initiation and take his instructions. Even this nature, this whole earth is our guru. So in this way, he instructs all of us that how the philosophy of non-duality often explains that this whole world is our teacher, and we should always learn from all these natural elements around us. So that story is very much famous, and even in his later incarnations as Sai Baba, Swami Samartha, and all those incarnations, he somehow projected these actions. He practically showed us all that how we have to learn these things from the nature around us.
Right, indeed. So if someone in the audience wants to learn about this path of Dattatreya, how should they proceed?
How should they proceed? So I would say that they can read my book at first. And after that, I would say that they can read various texts which are related to Lord Dattatreya. Somehow we have Tripura Rahasya, we have the Upanishads, we have the Bhagavad Purana, we have the Dattatreya Upanishad. So in these way, we have Dattatreya Kavacha. So all these books, and we have such Charitra of Sri Narsimha Saraswati, which is Guru Charitra. We have the Sripada Srivallabha Charitamrit. We have Swami Samartha's Charitra. So in this way, we can read about the books of Dattatreya and what he taught. But again, it's not something that we can learn just by reading. It's something which we have to, practice ourselves. And the basic and the foremost instruction of Dattatreya for all of us is that we all are one. Our identity is one. God is not somewhere far away. He's here only inside our heart. So we have to search for him here in this lifetime. And the nature, the world, the people around us, all of them are teachers and all of them are incarnations of Dattatreya. So the teachings of Dattatreya is basically the teaching of our lives and how we live. So if we understand how to live in this life, how to, behave with other people, I think we'll learn what Dattatreya is and what he taught.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of stories, particularly regarding Swami Samartha in the book. So could you mention like some of your favorite stories that you encountered?
Yes, there are many stories related to it. So when it comes to Shirdi Sai or Swami Samarth or Narsimha Saraswati, there are various stories of their miracles. And the story of Narsimha Saraswati, I would like to share one of the stories that there was one, I would say there was a tribal person. So what happened was that Narsimha Saraswati was seated in his monastery as a renunciate, as the head of the monastery, and some Brahmins were seated around him. So they challenged him that, we want to have a debate with you. You talk a lot about Advaita and non-duality, and you have disciples from all classes of people, all castes, and you see no discrimination in them. So we would like to have a debate, a Shastrarth. So Nrisimha Saraswati, as he was an incarnation of Dattatreya, he said, I don't want to have any debate because God cannot be known through Shastrarth. It is something which is beyond our words and our thoughts. So what happened? They were again and again challenging him. So Narsimha Saraswati said that I would not, have a debate with you. Rather, my one disciple will debate with you. So they said, okay, we are ready for that. And they were one of the most scholarly Brahmins of that time. So what Narsimha Saraswati did, there were a lot of his scholarly disciples, but he called one of his disciples who was a tribal, who haven't read the Vedas, the Upanishads, or nothing. And he said, now sit here and debate with these Brahmins. So they all were laughing at how he can debate with us. We are, great scholars. We have read the Vedas and the Upanishads. But when the tribal man sat there, he was fearful. He said, oh, Gurunatha, how I will, debate with these people. He said, you just go because I am with you. The Guru's grace is with you. So what happens is that he just sits there and they start to ask questions. And as they progress in that, as they move forward, they see that great secrets of the Upanishads, all of those secrets of the Vedas and the concepts, the philosophies, all of them were explained by that tribal who hasn't even read Vedas for once in their life. So in that way, Gurunatha or Narsimha Saraswati also, expressed that view that in the eye of God, there is no, upper or lower. There is no high class or low class. There is no casteism there, which we see a lot today. So in that way, this is also one of the stories which I like a lot, that how he humbled those egoistic Brahmins who were thinking that they are the only one, and interestingly, they lost that debate. So in this way, I would say that Dattatreya has an ability of transforming even a stone into a living being, because he believes in oneness of this creation. He is the greatest teacher of non-duality. So for him, everything is one. So in this way, Dattatreya's grace is always present. And it's one of their examples, but there are hundreds of such stories in his charitras, in the biographies written by great acharyas, that how his mercy was there on all of his devotees and disciples.
Just the last question, the most important one. What are your future plans?
What are my futures? I'm a law student. Probably I'll be practicing law. And I'm currently writing another book which is on Sri Ram and Hanuman. So my future plans are very simple. A practicing lawyer who is writing and living his life happily, spiritually. That's all.
Very nice. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to all of you.